Queensland, when I was looking at how they won their two games last year, the key stat seemed to be offloads. The winner of the offload count last year won each game in the series. And in the decider, Queensland won the offload count a staggering 16-8, whilst in the game they lost, they were held to just 3 offloads. That's a 13 offload difference. That's basically an extra 2.5 sets just through offloading. And last year's key weapon at this was Josh Papali'i. As previously mentioned, he provided 3 offloads in that decider. And although this doesn't sound much, think of that off the back of a Papali'i run. He's probably going 15 metres, dragged 4 with him. And then he gives the ball to the likes of Munster and Grant with broken field play. That's pretty dangerous. But he's not there this year, and that's a huge sigh of release for New South Wales. But that doesn't mean that they don't need to focus on this year. Christian Welch and David Fifita are both in the top 5 in the NRL for offloads per game. So the New South Wales Blues have to really make sure, especially Fifita and Welch, but all the players as well, they have to make sure they limit the offloads, try and keep it to under 10, under 5 if they can. Limit the second phase play that Munster and Grant get off the back of that. And I think if they can do that, New South Wales are going to have a real chance of winning this. And the way I see New South Wales winning it, as opposed to Queensland, who will be trying to offload their way to victory, New South Wales will be trying to kick their way to victory. A strength of the New South Wales team in the 2020 series was their kicking game, and across the first 2 games, they produced 5 dropouts, 5 forced dropouts, and a 40-20, meaning from their kicking game alone, they got an additional 6 sets of offense. That's pretty handy considering that's come out of thin air, you know. If the other team, you're then disciplined with the ball, you've got a 6-set advantage. Like the way they're scoring tries at the moment in rugby league, in the NRL in particular, that you're likely to turn those 6 sets, especially in good field position, into 2 or 3 tries. So that's going to be really huge for the Blues this year. And the Maroons were held to just 1 forced dropout in game 3. And the danger for the Maroons held the Blues to that. So that's the decider. They took away one of their biggest strengths was their kicking game and limited it to just 1. The danger for Queensland is that the New South Wales halves have been on fire in the NRL in this department. The Panthers, where Cleary and Luai obviously play, they are averaging the most kicking metres per game behind only the Bulldogs, which is pretty impressive considering most of the other top dogs in the competition, in the Roosters, Rabbitohs and Storm, are all in the bottom 6, and that's because they're dominating the field position. They don't have to kick it that far. You know, the ends of sets are likely going to be coming in the opposition 20, whereas the Bulldogs are likely going to be kicking the ball from their own 30 or 40 metre line. And also in forced dropouts, both Cleary and Luai have over 10 for the year, which is very impressive. Unfortunately, NRL don't provide a forced dropout list, as they are very limited in their stats, which is frustrating, but I'm sure that's right up there at the pointy end in the competition. And gaining the Blues repeat set after set will be key to their success. With the new rules, the star power of the New South Wales outside backs, and the heat up in North Queensland, it'll almost be impossible to prevent the Blues from crashing over the line if they're having 2 or 3 cracks at a time at the Queensland goal line defence. And this is going to be a huge way that New South Wales can dominate this game and score a lot of points, really. If they're getting 5 or 6 forced dropouts in game 1, I don't see how Queensland can keep them under 4 or 5 tries. So that's going to be a huge thing for Queensland. Really pressure the kicking game in New South Wales. Don't let them in good positions to kick as well. And the Queensland on the other foot offloading is going to be a huge way for them to dominate this year's opener.
It's a miracle! Oh yeah! What about that one? Unbelievable! Balotelli, Aguero! Crowd cheers. Here's Siddle.